We've got Tom with us today. Tom is somebody that uses assistive technology sort of every day to kind of help him with his sort of daily life and so on. And we just thought it would be interesting just to have a chat about sort of Tom's story and how he uses the technology. And yeah, that how it kind of benefits him. So yeah, first of all, hi Tom.
Hello there, Mark. Yeah,
Thank
nice to be
you.
with you.
Oh, thank you. Even though it's
Yeah.
absolutely chucking it down with the rain outside, I still remain
And
positive.
here, well, it is as well where I am.
It's
Yeah,
bad.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
if you could just sort of, yeah, just start by telling us sort of how you came sort of to assistive technology, because I know you've got a little bit of an interesting story there. I think
yeah.
that's probably a
Oh,
good place to start.
fine. Okay. Well, I came into assistive technology in the 1980s, the early 80s. First of all, with CCTV. That was all brand new to me. Having used low vision aid spectacles before that,
Hmm.
and I worked as a piano tuner, and I went to an exhibition and saw all these CCTV people, and I thought, oh, now I'm sure I could use this. It would enhance my life. And anyway, I asked the guy, could you get it on National Health, would you believe? And he said, oh, no, mate, you've got to buy this. I thought, oh, that's me out the window. Anyway, we move along. It took me a long time to get to know how I could obtain this stuff. There must be some way. I can't believe all blind people have got that sort of money, 1,500 quid.
Yeah.
So I eventually found out about Manpower Services and approached. Well, wait a minute. No, I approached the North Wales Society for the Blind and told them about the CCTV, and they said, "Oh, we've got one here." And anyway, they said, "Oh yes, they knew all about that. Let us we'll send somebody to see you." And this chap came along, and I had to go for an eye test. The guy that came along was the blind person resettlement officer, as they call him in those days. And he said we would have to test you with it, and they knew all about the Manpower Services Commission and everything. And as long as everything went to plan, I could get it free of charge because I was working. And apparently the organisation had a stock of these things somewhere in the Midlands, and I was introduced to a chap from the Manpower Services Commission. He was actually a trainee. He was a trainer, rather, for people going into work. He could train people into telephony. He would, in actual fact, he would see them into work. That was his job.
Yeah.
Anyhow, he came along to see me and said that yes, I thought I would be eligible. He would be picking one up from someone who no longer could use it, and it was a very good one. And he said, if it's still around when they sanction it for you, then it's yours, and on loan, permanent loan, I shall be around every so often to check that you're using it and treating it properly. And there we go. That was 1982.
Wow.
So
it's the very beginning.
I found. Sorry.
That's very, yeah. That was the beginning.
Yeah. Now, I mean, we move on from there, and just in recent years, of course, CCTV has advanced dramatically over the years, and I've changed. I've now moved on to colour and what have you, and I have to say, I was self-employed as a piano tuner, so it helped me to fill my diary in, look after my own customer base, and make my own appointments and everything. And then eventually I was trained in 1986 with a computer and was able to have my own database of customers, make my own bills out, send them out, and everything. Before that, I had to rely on other people.
Right. Yeah.
So, and of course, CCTV, we've now got computers with speech backup and everything. So I can do most things independently. Occasionally, I have to ask for help sometimes. I'm not very good with the internet, particularly loading anything or whatever, but we get there in the end. I sometimes have to have help with that. But in the main, I leave a very full and independent life with using this equipment.
That's fantastic, and I think really, I mean, that's sort of most people's objectives when they come across this kind of technology, is they want to be more independent and be able to do things where they're not reliant on others. So
right.
If we can sort of touch on what sorts of things do you use your CCTV? So presumably at the moment you've got a CCTV. What sorts of things do you kind of read with it? And again, it might seem like a sort of strange question, but it's something we get asked a lot.
No, it's not. I mean, I read mail. I can read the mail. I can read any information that comes along that I might want to know about or whatever. I'm finding now that reading for any length of time can be a bit difficult, as I've advanced in age myself. And so now we've got CCTV with speech backup on that, which I do find very useful.
So it reads, so basically, as well as sort of magnifying, it will
read that's right. Text. So I've got the best of both worlds, both on computer and CCTV. I also have a portable TV, CCTVs, which I bought from you, which I can take out with me to the shops, or wherever I go to church services. I can read the hymn books with them and what have you. So again, my life is enhanced that way as well.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that's the thing. And you touched there sort of on the internet and being able to use speech on there. But I know, because we had a little bit of a chat earlier, and I think, you do use your iPad, and I think that you're also presumably using sort of voiceover on that as well to help you.
Oh, yes, indeed, yes.
So
I happen to be an Apple fan, actually, because the Apple people have speech backup in everything they have. I've got a mobile phone, Apple phone, and also an Apple Watch as well.
Oh, and wow!
Everything matches,
Yes.
So it all links in together, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things, because a challenge for a lot of people, particularly if they're kind of elderly and this is kind of new to them, is the sort of fear of technology and it being complicated. But
it is,
but then, like you've said there, if you're on the same sort of ecosystem, so if you're using sort of all the sort of Apple products, everything kind of works seamlessly, and of course then you can read you can do your email, you can do everything.
And I do actually find the Apple people extremely helpful whenever you go into their shops. They're extremely helpful and got all the time in the world for you.
Oh, fantastic!
It's great.
No, that's good. So it seems like it's brought some independence. Is there anything that that you can't do at the moment that, if the technology existed, you would be able to? You'd like to be able to do. Is there anything kind of missing, think, or?
No, I can't think of anything at the moment. As I say, I'm sort of able to do most things. I mean, I think there will always be a time that you will need help with things. I mean, at some time or other. But at the moment, I mean, I'm coping reasonably well. And the beauty of the speech backup, of course, you can read at different speeds. You can have it at a natural reading speed, so you can understand it. With my eyesight, I read fairly slowly, and sometimes you can't piece things together quite.
Yes.
If you can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so
But
it's a natural sort of thing. So I know, again, that was the thing, sort of probably back in the 80s. If your eyesight was maybe at the level that you're at now, it would be very robotic and a bit monotonous. But now it's
yeah.
sort of so fluid, and yeah.
Oh, it is. Yeah, the voices on these things now are quite good, and I also deal with. I haven't had anything from them for a bit. Some people called. Oh gosh, they're in Norfolk, Norwich. They're Cobalt Systems.
Ah, yes, Cobalt. Yep, yep.
Yeah, they do a lot of speech stuff,
Yep,
as well,
absolutely.
and some of their equipment is extremely good.
Yeah.
What I used to, do work for our local vision support people up in Chester here as a volunteer, and we used to get people coming in saying, "Oh, my elderly father's losing his sight. What can I have to help him?" And they'll see the CCTV. Well, of course, when the older people see these things, they just can't believe it. And again, it's opened a new world for them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And they'll yeah. But again, they'd have to buy it. You see.
Yes.
Because you can't get these things on any system unless you were employed like this. What do they call it? Access to work, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the thing. Things have come along. I think probably the biggest barrier for, again, a lot of people with this type of technology is that they don't know that it exists. And like you just said there, if particularly,
exactly.
Yeah, it's really kind of, and I think it's one of the things that's happened more recently, sort of a little bit like the video that we're doing now, is when relatives and neighbours and friends hear about this kind of technology and know that it exists, it really kind of, it helps sort of, it helps people that wouldn't necessarily come across this kind of, and especially now if people can't go into things like resource centres and so on.
That's right.
It's a good thing.
I mean, the stuff. I have to say, it is very expensive. I mean, this sort of these systems. But I mean, I suppose if it's going to improve your life, well, there you go.
Absolutely.
People are prepared to splash out, and particularly older people, if it's going to help them, they've probably got money that they've had sort of over the years of working and stuff. You see. Yeah. But I'll tell you a story where a lady came into the local visit support. This was in Wrexham at one time, and she said her mother loved to play bingo. And
yes.
She wanted the cards, bigger numbers, you see. And they said, right, we'll bring the card here, and all they had to do was copy it into a bigger format.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was free of charge. And I mean, she was so thrilled that she could go back and play her bingo again.
Yeah.
And that cost nothing.
Yeah. Well, I think this is the thing. I think so many of these things really, it's just, like you say, it doesn't have to be kind of expensive technology. If somebody just needs something enlarging, and the company that you're trying to deal with is, kind of, I don't know, equal opportunities and want to support the customers, I think it really does. It makes so much sense. And going back to what we were talking about earlier, things like the internet, obviously companies making websites more accessible and being able to be read by things like voiceover and so on. I think it's a fantastic leap.
I do think some of the quite a few of the websites are not particularly user friendly to blind people. I think it has a bit to go yet. Really, because it doesn't always read everything, you see.
This is true.
Some, if you see a picture on a screen, it is possible to put in, say, who that picture is, or what that picture is of, or a person. Now, I mean, the wider world wouldn't think about that, but I have seen it where I've gone over a picture and the actual description of the picture's there. You see, I mean, even on the iPhones now, if you take photograph, they even tell you what you're looking at.
That's right. That's right.
If I took a photograph in this room, it would say chair, loudspeaker, or whatever it is,
Yep.
And it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you say, obviously you've got the cost of the device, but once you've bought that, which you probably need anyway, it's all inbuilt. So it's not something that needs to be additionally paid for. Yeah.
And one of the new things, well, I think it's fairly new, is an app called Seeing AI. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, I've got that, and that will now actually read handwriting.
Right. Yeah, it's
got little sections on it. It'll say short text, long text, and then it'll say product, so it'll do a barcode. And then you get to handwriting, and what you do, you point the camera at the birthday card or whatever, and says take photo. Take a photo of the birthday card and the handwriting. It'll read it out to you.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible. I don't know how they managed to get it to do that.
Yeah, this is the thing. Stuff like that. I mean, talk about leaps. I mean, I take what you're saying there about sort of the web, but hopefully, in time, sort of in the next few years, things will pick up. But it's a real kind of it's a godsend for a lot of people.
You've come across it, have you?
Absolutely. It's actually something that we talk to people about if they've got a phone or an iPad, because obviously. Yeah, it's not totally foolproof and isn't. Yeah, it's not necessarily going to do absolutely everything. So there's obviously like you found, there's need to have other things. But as a sort of quick thing, no, it's a fantastic app. In fact, I'm pretty confident in saying I think it's Microsoft that own it. I think it was originally developed by somebody, and Microsoft bought it. Yeah, it's it's a really, really good thing.
I think you're right there. Yeah. So things are moving along all the while, and improvements will continue. And I mean, we're living in a fantastic world today with all the technology that there is around, to improve people's lives.
Yeah. Brilliant. Excellent. Well, thank you very, very much for your time. I really appreciate that.
Not at all.
And no doubt we will speak soon.